I'm going to show off my Avatar shirts.
Hi, my name's Shawn Shaler. That's my friend Chris Ford, aka the Objective Geek, wearing a great Avatar shirt. You show those shirts off, Chris. That's a handsome one you got on there.
Well, I would show it off more, but I'm very cold. I'm always cold in my basement, and so
Our
when how many
wives,
times people just see me wear the same hoodie?
our wives trap us in our basements where we belong, and yeah, it's cold. Factually, it's colder down here most of the time. And also, as soon as I unmuted my microphone, is exactly when Charlie barks. I'm worried it's gonna like scare people mid-entry song. They're gonna be like jamming to our opening tunes, and all of a sudden there's gonna be a loud Charlie bark. Anyway, welcome to Avatar: The Last Podcasters. This week, very exciting, at least in our opinion. We're gonna do top 10 quotes from Avatar: The Last Airbender and The Legend of Korra. We are gonna
Specifically motivational.
specifically
Or, I'm sorry,
motivation. Oh, did you say that?
inspirational.
Inspirational.
Specifically inspirational. Yeah.
Okay. You know, I forgot about that, but I'm glad you said it now.
Your quotes were inspirational. The ones that
Well,
you
those
said.
just are the best quotes from Avatar. Just happen to be that way, right?
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I think so.
Probably. True. Yeah.
I mean,
Gosh, do you not read my stuff? It doesn't matter.
no.
It's all.
My problem
It
is
is
that I
the-
don't retain anything. Like my ears and eyeballs and stuff take in information all the time, but my brain does not hold it. So
You
I'm
got
sure.
to the right answer. You got to the right answer, no matter how you got there.
Now
Are
I'm
you not looking
self-conscious.
at
I'm
the-
reading them right now just to make sure they. Yeah, they're pretty inspirational. I'm fine with it, I think.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, top 10, which I will definitely title the YouTube video correctly. Inspirational quotes from Avatar: The Last Airbender. And I almost said Avatar: The Last Podcasters, like I was going to go back and listen to all of our stuff and pick out our top quotes. They're all John Mulaney quotes. Avatar: The Last Airbender and Legend of Korra quotes.
What's up with the forklift? And I don't know whatever.
Anyway, we each picked 5, and then Chris validated there's not a whole lot of overlap. We're going to go in alternating order, just kind of from 10 to 1. Chris, what am I forgetting? What else would you like to... What inspired you to do quotes?
That is a good question. One thing I am very excited with this episode, and
Me too.
I honestly underestimated just how many inspirational quotes there are in Avatar.
I will
was like, oh, yeah, let me
say
do my list.
I had a similar problem, but then when it came time to cut off at 5, I didn't have that much problem cutting out my top 5. Like, there were way more contenders than I would have guessed. But then when it actually came out to, like, picking the 5 most, I didn't have a whole lot of issue doing that, if that makes sense.
Oh, and then in the episode we'll share some of the viewers' favorite quotes.
Oh, yeah,
as well,
good.
which also triggered me.
Thank you for commenting on our post, Chris. Thank you for sharing the post.
Yes. But what inspired me was really, so I've spoken before about the leadership program I'm in. And in that, we had to give a final presentation of like, what did we learn throughout the whole entire thing? And they were pretty loose on like how you formatted it and everything. Like you could have did anything. And so I found myself throughout the year, throughout all the trainings, relating the trainings to like different quotes from different TV shows and movies. A lot of them were from Avatar: Last Airbender. So I've been thinking a lot about motivational quotes from Avatar: Last Airbender. It's funny, at the graduation, the one of the member of within the cohorts, people who were also in the program, they were chosen to speak. And in her speech, she was saying everything she learned from each individual person. She's like, "You're from Chris. We learned that all you need to know in life is quotes from Avatar: Last Airbender."
It would get
Which
you a
is
long
absolutely-
ways in life. Frankly, like, listen, you don't have a moral compass, just check out this show and you'll kind of develop one,
Yeah. Honestly, like throughout some training, I was like, you guys just need to watch Avatar. Like, it was a training about resilience. I was like, you guys need to watch, I was saying this to people. I was like, guys, listen to Korra. Like, it's all pretty much all about resilience. And but anyway, so that's kind of what inspires. I've been thinking a lot about these really great quotes from Avatar.
No time like the present. We kind of been saving it, not for a rainy day, but I know it's one of those things you've had on your list for a while, and I'm excited to actually put it down on paper and get to do it. Chris,
Yeah.
shall I start with number 10?
You go ahead. Start with number 10.
Everyone's going to tell me probably that I underrated this quote a little bit, and I completely respect that. But number 10, even though we should learn from those who came before us, we must also forge our own path. That's from the Korra side. That frequently seems to be, at least among Korra fans that I interact with, which is a small group, that almost always seems to come up as one of like the finer moments of that entire series.
Yeah, no, that's a really great quote. Because one thing I felt that quote, it it has respect for the past, right? But it's like the past isn't always going to give you the right answer. Like you have to learn from it, but you also have to understand there's new nuances to things, and you have to set your own, chart your own path, lead your own way.
It's the much more polite way to say the same thing that Daniel Tosh does in his jokes about the founding fathers being pieces of shit who had a few good ideas. It's like the better way to say that.
My daughter, I was just talking to my daughter about. I'm so upfront with her about stuff. I'm like, question things in class, and I think about stuff because like there are plenty of people who are praised and who are like did terrible things. Like they did some great, amazing things as well, but you have to see the whole picture of people. Uh, to you can't just take anyway. I was telling her like George Washington, who everyone praises, owned slaves. Because we were going down the street and like all these streets are named after presidents. And I was like, yeah. She was like, what's up with these names? I was like, oh, they're named after presidents. And then anyway, went through that whole spiel.
I mean, it brings us to this exact point here, which, like, yeah, we should learn from those that came before us. And there's good and bad to take away from those people and take it all and then use that information and forge your own way. You got it, Mackenzie. You. You're such a good parent. I'm intimidated, Chris. I'm gonna send my kids to you. Worry about it when the time comes, I guess. Yeah, that's number 10, and that is
Kids are gonna have a you're gonna have an afro with the Black Power pick coming through it.
as long as they're happy, man. Express your. One thing I'm not very good at is like self-expression. So if they came back a little more like naturally expressive, I would be cool with that. But that's my number. That's my number 5 personally, and it was the hardest to rank, or at least I was the saddest. I mean, I literally ran out of space to put it higher, but such is life.
Mm. My number 5, original count, or I'll say this is number 9. Number
You're 5, 9,
number
whichever you're
9.
more comfortable. That's fine.
Let's go with number 9. We'll rank. It'll be official top 10. We'll rank these. Number 9. You must never give in to despair. Allow yourself to slip down that road and you surrender to your lowest instincts. In the darkest times, hope is something you give yourself. That is the meaning of inner strength. That is from Iroh. That is from Avatar Last Airbender episode. Oh man, season 2. He's telling Zuko this when Zuko. Oh my gosh, I can't even remember the episode name. He's talking. Zuko just talked to Song about stuff, but Zuko's like the lowest he can get to. He's like down. His father is completely abandoned him. They're all out to kill him. He has no real hope. And this little nugget of wisdom from Iroh tells him like, don't give up. You have to give yourself some hope. Like hold on to that. Really great quote from Iroh.
I assume that
Dang
a
it,
common.
that is. I read the wrong one. Doesn't matter. Still number 9.
I assume a common theme here is that, like, as you're saying these quotes, you could, if you didn't know we were talking about Avatar, you could be like, is that from the Bible or from Aristotle or like, what are you talking about?
Sometimes I feel so sacrificed. I feel like a bad Christian. I'm like, boy, I can quote Avatar so well and have life lessons from it.
Chris,
And
I was raised Catholic, and you're probably aware of a stereotype that Catholics aren't real good at like the Bible part, and that holds true. I got not real good on the Bible stories.
like, I just imagine my mom being like, "You need to be quoting the Bible." I'm like, "Mother, Avatar 3:20 says we must."
The book of Iroh, chapter 14, episode 4 says.
But there's so much wisdom in this, and also it's not like okay, this
You know,
never mind. This sounds really silent. Like there's I don't know. reading through like old translated stuff sometimes when there's so many like metaphors in the Bible and stuff. It's like
Well, and just I
it's
mean,
like
it has been
it's
translated.
easier for a camel. It's easier. Jesus be like, it's easier for a camel to go through a needle than a rich man to get through the kingdom of God. Like what?
And then the eye of the
What?
needle in reality references. It's like a reference to like a crowded city center at the entrance of a city or whatever, right? But like you don't know that without context. Just sound like the eye of an actual needle.
Yeah,
Uh,
Bible has a lot of great stuff. Go read it or
you go
don't.
read it. We're probably bad. You know, Chris, the fact that Avatar
I
does,
don't read it enough.
I wouldn't kill me to look open it once in a while. Uh, Chris, the fact that Avatar does books and chapters is kind of amusing because you really could be like, Iroh, book 3, chapter 14. He says to Zuko.
Imagine reading it like a pastor, like a Southern Baptist black pastor. And Iroh said, "You must never give in to despair. Allow yourself to slip down that road, and you surrender to your lowest instincts." Now, church, did you hear me? Lower instincts. That is the devil. The devil is your lower instincts.
I've never been to black church until today, Chris. This is exciting for me.
Oh, nice. Mm.
It's time.
There's people saying, "Amen, Pastor. Amen."
I'd
See
follow
through
along.
hot man.
I would blend in, except for visibly. I would try my best.
Okay.
That's a great quote, though. And there again, if you strip away the avatar and like you just got a good, strong piece of life advice right there.
Okay.
Chris, I'm at number 8, I believe, and I picked the true mind can weather all lies and illusions without being lost. The true heart can touch.
Preacher. I'm kidding.
The true heart can touch the poison of hatred without being harmed. Since beginningless time, darkness thrives in the void, but always yields to purifying light. This one is like more wordy, probably than you like your like top quotes to be, but I think it's very
I tell you,
useful to.
sorry for interrupting.
No,
If I honestly put this quote and then put and then put Matthew or John 5:16, people be like, "Oh, okay."
all right. Well,
I
here
don't
in
remember that, but
our what knowledge that we have is founded in Christian. You insert your religion's famous person here and put this
yeah,
quote behind it. Probably sounds pretty good.
yeah,
No, what I like, I mean, I think this is the idea of like being a good person for good person's sake, or just being a good person for the sake of being good. And if you have that in your heart and in your mind as you proceed, and you're true to that, then nothing external, no external forces can impact you or have to be able to necessarily impact you. So I don't know. That's just a great piece of life advice if you can hang on to that. It's not the catchiest sounding quote that you'll hear today, but very powerful wisdom of the lion turtle to Aang.
All right, my number 7. Oh, number 7. Very simple. Only justice will bring peace. From Kyoshi and her advice to Aang. Now I know in context Kyoshi is like saying go kill the Fire Lord, but there's more to it than that, right? Because people, I feel like people often confuse justice with punishment, and that's not the case. And this goes also to Batman Begins, and Batman Begins goes to this also. Or they confuse justice with
Batman
revenge.
Begins, also known as Batman the New Testament.
um, and so justice, real true justice is harmony. Justice is about making amends for terrible things cannot repeat themselves again. Um, and also this quote is, it was used in civil rights, like no justice, no peace. That's the same as that thing. Because what people are asking for is harmony. It's like provide us with equality, provide us with ways to make some type of amendment to things that have happened, to terrible things that have happened. And without justice, it is hard to get to a peaceful place because there will all nothing has happened took place to reconcile these terrible some type of terrible action. So that quote, I think, is very illuminating because I think people often forget or don't think about what true justice is.
That's, man, that's our number 7. That's what. Guess I got number 6, and this is probably I won't say the weirdest one, but the one that doesn't, the one that you have to see like in the context of Avatar, really, but maybe not necessarily, is let go your earthly tether, enter the void, empty and become wind. And it's Zahir quoting, I forget his name, dying here,
Guru Lahima.
Guru Lahima. And to me, what that is there again, sort of, if you personally let go of sort of your of your earthly tethers or the things that pull you away from, you could take it to mean being a good person or trying to get to an afterlife or whatever. But if you let go of those earthly tethers, that's how you do that. Their earthly desires, worldly needs, what have you, whatever you want to call it. It probably can apply to a million different people, a million different ways. But just the idea that whatever it is you're trying to achieve, if you have earthly tethers weighing you down, you have to loose those in order to achieve it, probably. Also, I just think it sounds really cool when Zahir says it out loud. That played a role. I'm not going to lie to you.
Man, that's a great quote. My number 5. Number 5. Sometimes the best way to solve your own problems is to help someone else. This is from Iroh. Very small statement, but I feel like it's so true. Even though it doesn't seem true all the time, right? Like you have a problem, it's like, all right, what does helping someone else do? But it does in a way. Because one thing I think in doing that, you put your own problems aside and you understand that other people have issues and that they need help with. It is very humbling to do something like that. And it's very altruistic to do something like that.
I think
And
it helps
oftentimes,
you. Excuse me. I think it helps give you a sense of value too, like when you can actually do something for somebody else. If you're feeling a
yeah.
little down on yourself, lacking some confidence or a little self-esteem, not that you should go into it with like the selfish intentions or whatever, but I think it's a good way of sort of reminding yourself of the value you have.
Yeah. And even in like a very um how do I use this? Like even at work or like if I have a problem, like if I'm like in a rut and I don't know like how to solve this problem, like, all right, let me go help someone else. And like oftentimes those things I can find a solution somehow. I don't know, taking my mind off my own issues and focus on others. It's one of those things that like this advice isn't the most concrete, proven advice, but without a doubt, I think it works.
The hardest part is convincing yourself in the moment that it will help, right? Like if
Yeah.
you are running up against that or you're in a rut or whatever, and you like, I don't know if you see that. It's like, why would I do something for somebody else? Like I'm struggling with this with me right now. But
Hmm.
if you can get over that hump, I firmly believe it to be generally true, most of, if not all the time. Doesn't have to be anything big. What number am I on? Number 4?
Yes, you are.
Number 4. This, I wanted it to be number, well, 2 or my number 1, however you want to look at it. But damn it, Iroh just has too many cool things that he says. Pride is not the opposite of shame, but rather its source. That's probably the first time in a cartoon that I'm having like a complete internal moral dialogue because of something I just heard out of an animated character's mouth. Not just like a light moral, like, oh yeah, I never thought of that, but like an actual full
No.
conversation with myself about like, oh, I never thought of pride that way. I never thought of shame that way. Do I even know what pride is or what it can lead to?
Yeah,
Like a
yeah.
full on internal, or maybe I was alone when I saw the episode the first time, so it could have been external. Could have been saying it out loud. Um, yeah, talk to myself
Yeah.
a little bit about that one.
Yeah, no, that's a great quote. I'll talk about that one later, maybe, perhaps.
Uh, Spoiler alert.
Uh, uh, you have anything else to add to that?
No, just I'm still thinking about it
Hey,
right now.
it's a terrific quote, Sean. So we're at number three. My number three is Iroh again. A lot. Iroh shows up.
It's unfair, man, and
Iroh
he's
has
got
Iroh has four of my five top one,
it ain't
and
right.
this is what it is. Like, and maybe that's part of what was missing because like most of these quotes are from Avatar: Last Airbender. It's not that Legend of Korra doesn't have a lot of great quotes. It does. Weird thing is like I feel like Legend of Korra, the things that the character that like Korra is going through, and Tenzin and some couple of characters are going through, I think are far more applicable. But the quotes in Avatar are just really good,
Iroh
and there's really good ones in Legend of Korra as well.
Iroh is just the perfect narrative storm of like the wizened character, but from like a source and a place that you wouldn't expect, and like still
Yes,
lovable, still dangerous. You don't know what to think about him through like 1.5 seasons or 1.5 books.
yeah.
Like he just is
It's
a
to me the
perfect
thing
storm of
about
saying a quote, but then also being delivered in a very memorable way.
the thing about Iroh is that I feel like Iroh is the closest to the end of his character arc. And so everything he's learned mostly everything he's going to learn.
A
Like I
long,
feel like,
tremendous, like big swooping, not flatline character arc, but an actual arc, a big one.
so like that character on Legend of Korra is like Tenzin, but Tenzin, and it's not a shade on his character. He's a well written character. He's not complete. He's
Well,
still
and
going on that character arc, and so all of he says wise things throughout the show. He's still learning. Like he's halfway through. I think when we meet him, he's
he
halfway through his growth.
when he has an arc, but Tenzin started as a good guy, being raised by good guys. You know what I mean? Like he has an arc, but it
Yeah.
just doesn't have this extra flair of context that Iroh has in his
Yeah.
favor. I think, and honestly, even just the voice acting too, right? Like hard
Yeah.
not to
Okay.
love Iroh.
Oh, I didn't say the quote. Anyway, the quote is, "If you look for the light, you can often find it, but if you look for the dark, that is all you'll ever see." This is from Legend of Korra, and this one episode alone, it is like the Spirit Library episode, or the Spirit World episode, or I think it's called the Guide, where Korra goes into Spirit World. The previous Iroh quote is from the same episode, where Korra gets lost in Spirit World. She meets Iroh, and I love this quote. To me, this quote is all about optimism. Like, and I hear this quote like every day in my head, right? It's like, if you look for the light, you can often find it. If you look for good things and situations, you can often find it. But when you think about that negativity, when you're just looking for the darkness and you're staying in the darkness, that is like consuming, and that's all you will see.
I think it feels like superficially like the simplest, like Iroh, that's barely inspirational. Like you just said, like, hey, if you look for this thing, that you'll see this thing, or if you look for that thing, then you'll see that thing. But it's like so universally pervasive. I don't even know how to, it's very literal, but you can't get around it. You absolutely need to put it into action. You need to realize it. You can't just read it at face value.
Yeah.
It's not deep, it's not complex, it's very straightforward, but that doesn't mean it's not profound. Chris, anything else on that one?
Nope.
My top pick, my favorite quote from either one, are number two overall.
One, two.
Life happens wherever you are, whether you make it or not. Always, that's my self motivation when I'm like sitting around, and I have those days where I just like, oh yeah, man, I'm X years old, you know, What am I doing? Am I supposed to be doing something else? How am I feeling? How am I doing? As a husband, as a human, as a worker. That, like, in terms of inspirational quotes, I mean, I don't know. I repeat this one to me a lot to motivate myself to do anything, to be better at insert word here. It came from Iroh, as you
Yeah,
might guess, of course.
yeah. I like this quote because this quote is like almost just deal with it. Like whatever circumstances you're in, like you have to make the best of it. You have to, I am very nonchalant because sometimes I'm just like, all right, I got to make this work. Like
It,
life happens, and I
it,
don't have full control over all of it.
it like alludes to, I don't know, it's like at the exact same time it alludes to like life being short, so do something, while at the exact same time, like, it you can only do what you can do. Like, I don't
Hmm.
know. If there again, it's very sort of simple to read, but I find it very, very motivating to move myself emotionally
Yeah.
or literally. Just sometimes literally to like get out of the chair and do anything.
All right, my number one, our number one, which if we when Shawn shared me his list, and I looked through, and I was like, holy crap, like I don't have none of these except for this one. This is the one quote that was on both of our lists.
So very appropriately ranked.
Uh, Shawn mentioned it just now. I think it was technically number four. Or maybe number four.
Mm-hmm.
Like Ira says, pride is not the opposite of shame, but its source. True humility is the only antidote to shame. Like you, Shawn, watching this episode, I was like, what the heck did he just say? Like I don't know who wrote that line, but it was
Somebody was
how
like thinking
because
about the cardinal sins when they wrote that line, man, and they hit a profound button.
yeah, 'cause I was like, I don't wait, rewind that. Pride is not the opposite of shame, but it's a source.
Can you remind me though
And
exactly what is, if you can? I'm not trying to put you on the spot, but like what Zuko's exact line before this is that I'm not
uh,
ashamed, I'm very proud, or but I
yeah,
don't
so
remember.
Iroh tells him like, listen, Zuko, like you have to humble yourself. He's like, I'm not ashamed, as proud as ever. He's like, no, Zuko. Pride is not the opposite of shame, but its source. True humility is the only antidote to shame. And then, like, because he said, I think he says, wait, let me look it up exactly. Because I want to be, I mean, that is essentially what was said.
No, I was gonna say, if I had a
Uh,
dollar, I would happily wager it that you just nailed it. I
Where's my
just,
freaking search? There we go.
I think, I don't know how to say it without like sounding chastising towards like people or behavior, uh, but people have different views or seem to perceive differently what pride is and what it means, and its sort of importance. And I
Yeah.
think this is a beautiful lesson of Iroh teaching Zuko, and hopefully and apparently teaching me alone in my dorm room as well, about what it is that Zuko was actually feeling and why during a very emotionally challenging time that at some point we all go through to some degree. Maybe not to Zuko's degree, maybe worse.
Inside you. What turmoil?
Can you hear that?
You
Yeah,
must let go of your feelings of shame if you want your anger to
it's
go
actually pretty
away.
clear.
I don't feel any shame at all. I'm as proud as ever. Prince Zuko, pride is not the opposite of shame. Source. True humility is the only antidote to shame.
Ah, he sounds so good.
Oh, such good voice acting.
Yeah, it is.
Um, so in my presentation, so one of the trainings that was talking about this was just a TED talk. It was a TED talk by Brene Brown, who is this like she really became like this renowned
Speaker.
inspirational speaker type of deal, or even theorist. Like she was on like Oprah talking about this stuff. Um, she was talking about the power of vulnerability and how like this was what I ended my presentation on because I thought it was so powerful. She was saying that like all the stuff in life that brings you joy and comfort and good things came from you being vulnerable, right? But like we often aren't vulnerable because we don't want to feel shame. We're so afraid of feeling shame. Like we're afraid to like ask someone, "Hey, do you want to do this?" Or we're afraid of rejection because we're afraid that we're going to be ashamed. And like, it's like holy crap! Like I get that. Like throughout my life, there've been times it's like, oh, I don't want to try for the sports team. Like I might not make it. Like what if so and so? Like I'm gonna be ashamed and stuff.
Probably any
And
time
like
that you've told yourself, I don't want to do X because Y, this is probably at the root of that.
yeah, like sometimes in meetings, I'm like, oh, I don't want to speak up because I want to make a fool of myself. Or other than that, and I'm gonna be ashamed of something. Um, and because oftentimes in meetings, I'm like, all right, I gotta have the right answer to to before I speak. I don't. I don't need the right answer. Sometimes I just need to show that I have an answer. I've thought about something. Um, and there's a pride in there, a pride of thinking that I gotta be right. No, I need to be vulnerable and humble enough to say, I might get this wrong. I might not deliver something the best way or have the best answer, but I have to put myself out there and I have to give up this prideful notion that I have to be perfect.
Some of
Um,
that is workplace culture, and I don't mean specific to your workplace so much as like the American workplace and probably a lot of workplaces
yeah.
around the world, right? Like
Oh, some of that
we
was in
take these things
Payless.
that could be opportunities or learning opportunities, but because of that culture or that stigma that we hold, that's probably accurate to some degree. They're not learning opportunities, and people don't want to have that to use the time for that.
Yeah. Oh, there's been times I've been chastised for not speaking. The thing is, I look back on those. I'm like, those people weren't being good leaders. Like through
Yeah.
this leisure program, in, I realized like that person like calling me out in front of everybody, even though they have no clue what the heck I was going through, like trying to cover for two different positions and train other people and stuff. And like, oh, I get one little thing wrong in this, and then after that, now I gotta like, oh, I gotta be absolutely perfect and stuff.
Yeah.
But
And
anyway,
that's not just Payless, right? That's probably a
yeah,
large percentage of workplace culture in the United States, if I had to guess.
that's my place I'm at now is not like that. Like they're no,
Mine,
their culture's just different.
mine depends, man. It's like right in my immediate team, where it's like I have a lot of comfort and trust established, and we have that good rapport. But then there's still some meetings where I go to is like I have bullet points of things that I'm allowed to say, written down in advance.
Yeah,
So man, it's tough in there, but hey, to Iroh's point, or to I forget the TED Talk lady's point, like if making yourself
Renee
vulnerable is
Bro.
how you can learn and how you can grow.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. I mean, doing and this goes beyond. This is like everyday life, right? Like it's vulnerable to go ask a girl out, but to put yourself out there, it's vulnerable to put our podcast out there. Like I remember, I was so hesitant to do my first YouTube video because it's like, should I
it's
do
not going
this?
to
Like,
be
do I
as
really
good as
want
this
it's
person's or that person's. Which
yeah,
honestly, if you're having that conversation with yourself in earnest, like to me that already says, A, you're probably not just putting out some garbage. Like you've clearly invested some kind of thought into it already, and you care about it to some degree. You're not just like publishing clickbait for views. You know what I mean? But
yeah.
yeah. Chris, I'm gonna give you a gift, and that's that you picked such a fantastic quote for number one. I'm gonna say, all right, well, we have to dump my number four out because it's the same quote, and that opens up a new spot at number 10. And that's my segue to honorable mentions. But what's your new number 10, Chris? You get one more.
Ooh, new number 10. Okay.
What's your first that didn't make it? And then we'll talk some like lightning round, honorable mentions.
So, Iroh again. Uh, Destiny is a funny thing. You never know how things are going to work out. But if you keep an open mind and an open heart, I promise you will find your own destiny someday. As Iroh speaking to Prince Zuko, like shortly after he was banished, and I think that's all about just like keep driving. Like sometimes throughout my career, like I feel lost. Right now, I'm at somewhat of a crossroads because I'm just like, I need to get a new position. I need to like I want to be a manager. I want to help people in doing stuff. I need more responsibility, stuff like that. But right now, I don't know where that's going to lead to. And that's fine. Like I just gotta, as I always say, like keep an open mind and open heart to things, and you eventually find what your destiny is. But people go throughout life not knowing what they want to do or what they can be, what they can do. But just keep open mind, keep open heart, and things will work out.
I mean, we've got 3 or 4 different quotes here that all allude to the same concept of, like I said, the life happening, whether you're there or not.
Yeah.
Picking your own destiny. This quote kind of directly alluding to like, hey, you can have a destiny and a purpose or whatever, but like you're in charge of that to just essentially just like getting up and going and doing your thing and doing you and learning and growing as yourself, forging your own path. 4 or 5 different quotes here that all sort of point to like you individually finding a way to be a wholesome person. Chris, I'll sign off. That's a new number 10 right there. I'll happily sign off on that quote. Can we jump into some honorable mentions?
Honorable
Let's just
mention.
quick lightning round, a little back and forth till we run out. I don't have too many.
All right, I'll
Um,
go first.
yeah,
Or
please.
since there's a pause.
Hmm.
Tenzin, I wish this would have made it. I really love this quote. Tenzin, admitting your fears is the first and most difficult step in overcoming them.
Beautiful and accurate. My first honorable mention does need a little context because you kind of have to know it's Korra and that she's the Avatar for it to be really impactful. But it's I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing half the time, which to me is important because she's the Avatar.
That's a arrow. While it's always best to believe in oneself, a little help from others can be a great blessing. Absolutely believe. I think I feel like I've needed that throughout my life.
uh, One time Zuko tried to be inspirational and he said, sometimes clouds have 2 sides, a dark and a light, and a silver lining in between. It's like a silver sandwich, so when life seems hard, just take a bite out of the silver sandwich.
I feel like that is like such a dumbed down version of the find the light in the if you look for the light in the dark.
Well, that's why it's beautiful, though, right? It's because it's
Yeah,
Zuko
yeah.
trying to channel that wisdom and that energy and doing it very poorly. But he tried, and that's meaningful to me.
My Iroh again. It's important to draw wisdom from many different places. If you take it from only one place, it becomes rigid and stale. Understanding others, the other elements, the other nations will help you become whole. That's a really good one. Because that to me, that's people need that in life, right? You can't just keep taking stuff from one place. Your wisdom will become rigid and stale and won't be wise.
Do we need to do an episode that's just like top 10 Iroh quotes at some point?
Oh, we will one day.
Okay.
Yes.
We've got to give it some time in between this one because that's basically what we did. But,
Best thing to say.
we'll specify. Chris, I'm out of serious ones, but I just want to throw an honorable mention out to literally everything that comes out of Sokka's mouth, including such gems as "My first girlfriend turned into the moon." It's the quenchiest.
Okay, so that was the one that I was questioning your quotes. I was like, these aren't that inspirational.
No, well, and because at that point I was just thinking about my favorite things, and that's always Sokka. It's the quenchiest. This is the kind of wacky time wasting nonsense I've been missing. I'm just a guy with a boomerang. I didn't ask for all this flying and magic. I feel like
I found that one to be somewhat inspirational.
Yeah, that could be mildly inspirational. My first girlfriend turned in the moon could be a metaphor. It's just that to him it's not a metaphor. It's very literal.
I'll ring off my last one to several of them.
Please, yeah, go ahead.
Sometimes life is like this dark tunnel. You can't always see the light in the tunnel, but if you just keep moving, you'll come to a better place. I love that one. Great
Sometimes
quote.
life is like a secret tunnel.
Katara. Side note, there's a couple different ones from Katara that I was thinking of. Uh, Katara is probably the second most inspirational person in Avatar: Last Airbender, which I don't think she gets enough credit for that.
That fits her vibe, though. I like that.
Yeah. I know sometimes it hurts more to hope and it hurts more to care, but you have to promise me that you won't stop caring. That's such a good one. Uh, Iroh, there's nothing wrong with letting the people you love help you. Zuko, he says at the end, which someone wrote in the
Man, that last
comments
one, that could be
about,
Iroh, like, trying to help somebody through serious depression right there. That's potent.
yeah, he's talking to Toph in that one. Um, Zuko about if we want to heal the world, we have to bring in an era of peace and kindness. He's talking to his dad, and his dad just laughs in his face, like, gosh, freaking.
You idiot.
Uh, Katara, I'll never ever turn my back on people who need me. Rupatik, about the illusion of the separation of people. I won't go into the whole thing, but that was a good one. Korra, I needed to understand what real suffering was so I could become more compassionate to others.
That one popped up on
Love
a
about
lot when I was scouring for ideas.
yeah. Tenzin, true wisdom begins when we accept things as they are. So that's all my honorable mentions.
Beautiful. We really could do, like I said, maybe in like a year or something after we let it cool down, we can just do Iroh. Book of Iroh. All 10 chapters.
Book of Ira.
Our mothers will scold us, tell us to go back to church or something. Um,
My mom be like, I saw that Airbender symbol look like three sixes to me.
I guess it is 3 sixes. Yeah, I was thinking it was 4, but no, it's just the 3 little waves.
Mhm.
Huh. What they trying to do to
Okay,
us over there at Nick? Nick turning you kids into the devil. Um.
Okay, Facebook. Thank you for Facebook people.
Oh yeah, I
Thanks.
forgot. Yeah, give me some of the people's favorites.
All right. Lache Booth talked about Iroh's advice to Aang, which shows a lot of stuff. There's stuff about the Dark Tunnel.
Yeah.
There was stuff about prioritizing love over power. That was a great one. Um,
You,
Caitlin says, Zuko quote, if we don't want the world to destroy itself, we need to replace it with an era of peace and kindness. Just talk about that one.
beautifully chosen.
Top quote, there's no different angle, no clever solution, no trickety trick that's going to move that rock. You got to face it head on. Yeah, that is life sometimes. There's nothing wrong with letting people you love help you. Probably not the opposite of shame, but a source. You can't always see the light at the end of the tunnel, but if you're moving forward, come to a better place. Oh, this was the group particular one here. The greatest illusion of this world is the illusion of separation. Things you think are separate and different are actually one and the same. We are all one people, but we live as if divided. Group Petite was spitting there. I wanted to take this is Katara. I wanted to take out all my anger on him, but I couldn't. I don't know if it's because I'm too weak or because I'm strong enough not to. Really great Katara moment. Looks like you're going to fail a lot before things work, even though you fail over and over again. You have to try every time. You can't quit because you're afraid you will fail. Again, that is a lot about being vulnerable. I know sometimes it hurts more to hope and it hurts more to care, but you have to promise that you'll care. You can't knock me down. That's Katara. It's time for you to look inward and start asking yourself the big question: who are you and what do you want? Of course, that's Iroh. While it's always best to believe in oneself, a little help from others can be a great blessing. And then it's important to draw wisdom from many different places, quote. And then Caitlin's quotes from Legend of Korra are, I'm not a reflection of my father, I am Tenzin. Even though we should learn from those who came before us, we must also forge our own path. Accept what happened to you. Don't fear what might have been. That's a really good one. So in this training about resilience that we talked about, and this lady was talking who lost her family and stuff like that. She was like, I just had to accept it. Like life happens. she said like shit happens. Like, and that helped me get over it. Admitting your fears is first and most difficult step in overcoming them. If you look for the light, you can often find it. When you base your expectations only on what you see, you blind yourself to the possibilities of a new reality. It's such a great to hear quote. And like one thing, it's a BA quote. Like, and then he like beats the crap out of prison guards shortly after that. But it's an inspirational quote nonetheless.
I mean, it inspired him in the moment.
You need to make decisions based on what you want. Don't make the same mistake I did. All right, and then there's Riley Wendover. There's so many, I can't choose one. LOL. Yeah. TL said, "Come on, then Appa. Yep, you can do it." So that was some quotes from Facebook. Had a few from the Twitter sphere. Let me go there real quick.
Chris, while you look for the Twitter sphere quotes, I'm going to read you some of Varric's most inspirational quotes.
Oh.
A man has a right to blow up his own property, and he Varricked himself because some girls you lead him. Not inspirational, just enjoyable. Do the thing, that's pretty inspirational. It's very literal. Okay, I'm done.
Hey, it's like Nike. Do the thing.
It's just do the thing. Oh, Chris, I want a tattoo that says "do the thing" now. I don't have any tattoos, but maybe that's number one.
So from Twitter, Tony, it says it's time to ask yourself one question: who are you? What do you want? Iroh. Solomon had like a bunch of them. In the darkest of times, hope is something you give yourself. That is meaning your inner strength. When we reach our lowest point, we are open to the greatest change. I don't think either one of us said that, but that's,
no, we didn't.
That was from
That's great.
Aang. Yeah, that's a great one. Oh, I forgot this one. Holy crap. Failure is only the opportunity to begin again, only this time more wisely. That's from Uncle Iroh. Sick of tea, that's like being sick of breathing. Almost. Persephone said almost every quote by Eska about Bolin as her husband.
Great choices.
Michael says, sometimes life is like this dark tunnel. You can't always see the light. You know, that quote. So lots of great quotes from everyone. Thank you all for sharing. Like this, just an hour of just hope. Never mind. I'll wrap it up. Lots of great quotes.
An hour of wholesomeness, almost beginning to end. The last Varric one that I forgot to share was "lie big and leave fast." I love Varric. Oh goodness. Chris, thanks for the idea. This was delightful. Thank you all for contributing on the various social media platforms. Of course, we'd love to hear them if you have any that you'd like to comment on this video. And while you're down there, if you don't mind hitting any kind of comments or bells or subs or reviews that you're willing to click for us, we appreciate them all very meaningful. Thank you so much in advance. My name's Shawn. That's my friend Chris Ford, aka The Objective Geek of YouTube and Twitter. This has been Avatar: The Last Podcasters, and we will see you next time.
Adios. Hold on to these quotes.
All of them, right?
You thought they were beyond your reach previously.
Write all 10 of them down and repeat them to yourself every morning.
Tattoo them on your lower back.
Do the thing.
Look in the mirror,
do
it back.